Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. Time for convening the 158th General Assembly, as prescribed by the Constitution of the State of Georgia, has arrived. The Georgia Senate will now come to order. I would like to welcome everyone here today. It is wonderful to be back. Wonderful to be back. How's everybody doing this morning? That doesn't sound like a real exciting group right there. How's everybody doing this morning? It is so nice to see returning members. It's nice to see the new members and all the families, the spouses and kids and grandkids and everything else. We greatly appreciate y'all being here today. I appreciate the opportunity to serve in this capacity one more time. So the senator will recognize the Good Rules Chairman, the senator from the 6th here.
Good morning, Mr. President. How are we doing this morning?
Doing well.
Well, Mr. President, it's a beautiful day to begin our next session. Glad to be back. A little different view down here. I have no pages to report today, so look forward to a great day and a great session.
All right, sounds good. Glad to see you back there, Senator. I like your new seating too. That looks good on you right there. So, is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Would you say? It is my honor today to have the pastor of the day, but before we have the pastor today, I would like to everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. Before we introduce our pastor of the day, I do like to point out a little bit of somber news for this body here. One of our colleagues, Senator Clint Dixon, lost his father over the weekend, Mr. Randall Dixon. If we could have a moment of silence for the Dixon family, real quick. Amen. Today, it is my honor to introduce the pastor of the day. This is a man who is he's no stranger to this body, nor is he a stranger to the legislative body. He's somebody that I've been proud to call my pastor for over 20 years now. And just to watch his church, Rock Springs Church, there in Milner, Georgia, grow really to be the mega church that it is today, where it has a school and it has ministries. Multiple campuses and ministries all over the state. Dr. Benny Tate is somebody who is, I consider him a friend first, and my pastor second, but he is somebody that always inspires you to love the Lord and to do what you feel is in your best duty as an individual. He's somebody that I have him every year. I've had him every year since I've been in the Senate as my pastor of the day, and it's just my honor to have him kick off our legislative session today as our chaplain. And without any other any more introduction of what he's done and what he's meant to me, you'll know very soon after you hear his message. He's a lot of fun to be around as a pastor, you know, and you don't have to feel like you have to worry about what you say or do in front of him, because he's just one of the guys, really, when it comes right down to it. So please welcome Pastor Benny Tate.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, and I want you to know I do greatly appreciate every one of you. While Bert was going through those things, I was saying, God forgive him. And I really was. I was saying, God forgive Bert for overpraising me. And then I was thinking, and God forgive me for enjoying it so much. Amen? But it's a real privilege to be here. Just out of curiosity, I've been coming for so many years. You know, how many would say, I've never heard you before? Could we do that? Just a few. And for you that have heard me for the first time, I say to you what Elizabeth Taylor said to her 8th husband. I'm not going to keep you long. Amen? All right. Philippians chapter 3, verse 13 says this. It says, Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before. Forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I read the story one time about a man who would get up each morning and he looked at the obituaries. I mean, he just read the obituaries. And he got up one morning and he was reading the obituaries, and he noticed his name was in the obituaries. And that caused an alarm. So he contacted the newspaper and he said, you don't understand, I'm very much alive, but you have me in the obituary column. And he said, I demand a retraction. And they said, no, you don't understand. It's the policy of our newspaper that in all of our years of existence, we don't do retractions. So we don't do that. But they said, we've got good news for you. We will put you in the birth column tomorrow. Now, here's what I love about the new year. This is what I love about the new year. It says we can begin again. It says that we can start new. So I want to take just a few moments and I want to talk to you about how to have a great new year. I think, first of all, in order to have a great new year, we got to settle the past. We got to settle the past. Notice what Paul said. He said, forgetting those things which are behind. I think we need to let go of some things. We need to maybe let go of the guilt. Let go of the guilt. That God didn't come to rub our sins in. He came to rub them out. I'm grateful that 1 John 1:9 says, He is faithful and just to forgive us our trespasses. Isn't that good news? He's faithful. The other night I was talking to Barbara, and Barbara and I this year were married for 40 years. 40 years. And I looked over and I said, you know, Barbara, I'd rather die as be unfaithful to you. She said, don't worry, if you are, you will. See, I'm grateful we need to settle the past concerning our guilt. We need to settle the past concerning our grief. Many of us have had loss, but if we're here, God's still got a plan for us. We need to settle the past concerning our glory. I know men my age are still talking about their high school football days. Sometimes we need to move on. And we need to settle the past concerning our grudges. Our grudges. I preach a lot of funerals. There was a lady here in Atlanta, Hazel Von Jecke. 94 years old, that passed away. She was never married. And she left some specific funeral instructions. She said, when I die, I want no male pallbearers. She said, they wouldn't take me out while I was living. I don't want them to take me out now that I'm dead. I don't know in what capacity you need to settle the past. I mean, it may be guilt, it may be grief, it may be glory, it may be grudges. But I'll tell you this, many of you are not going to have a great year in 2025 because you hadn't settled 2024. And some of you are not going to have a great year in 2025 because you haven't settled 2015. I am convinced if we're going to have a great year in 2025, we're going to have to settle the past. Let me tell you something else we're going to have to do. If we're going to have a great year in 2025, not only are we going to have to settle the past, but we're going to have to start praying. Start praying. See, prayer is the difference between the best you can do and the best God can do. By the way, this is not a new concept. When our founding fathers spent 5 weeks trying to agree on a constitution and they were arguing about state rights, there was one man by the name of Benjamin Franklin that said, we need the Father of lights to illuminate our minds. If a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without God noticing it, do we really think a nation can rise without his aid? Our forefather, Benjamin Franklin, he realized it. By the way, speaking of people that are serving politically, Abraham Lincoln, he realized it. Abraham Lincoln, leading our country through the Civil War, said these words. He said, I've been driven to my knees by an overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. My wisdom and all about me seemed insufficient in the day. All I would say to you, let's settle the past. Let's start praying. Because prayer really does make a difference. I heard about this pastor, a true story. And his kitten climbed up in a tree in the backyard and was just afraid to come down. That pastor, he coaxed that kitten. He offered warm milk. He did everything he could to get that kitten to come down. The tree wasn't sturdy enough to climb, so he decided that if he tied a rope to his car and drove away that the tree bent down, he could reach up and get the kitten. He did, all the while checking his progress in the car. Frequently, he figured, if he just went a little bit further, the tree would be bent sufficiently and he could reach that kitten. But as he moved a little further, the rope broke. The tree went boing, and the kitten sailed out of sight. The pastor felt terrible. He walked all over the neighborhood asking people if they'd seen the kitten. Nobody had seen it, so this is what he did. He said, God, I just pray and I give this kitten to your care. A few days later, he was in the grocery store and he met one of his church members. He happened to look into her shopping cart and he was amazed to see cat food. Now, this woman was a cat hater and everyone knew it. And he said, I can't believe you're buying cat food when you hate cats so much. She said, Pastor, you won't believe this. My daughter had been begging for a cat. And I told her to pray. And if God gave her a cat, she could keep it. And she said, Pastor, you won't believe this. She went out in the backyard, got down on her knees, and started praying for a cat. And Pastor, suddenly, a kitten came flying out of the blue sky. Its paws were outstretched right in front of her. And she said, Pastor, don't you ever underestimate the power of prayer. Folks, I got up one morning to rush into the day. I had so much to accomplish, I didn't have time to pray. Problems just tumbled about me. Heavier came each task. Why doesn't God help me? He replied, you didn't ask. I wanted to see joy and beauty, but the day toiled on gray and bleak. I wondered wasn't God help me? He replied, you didn't seek. Ladies and gentlemen, I got up this very morning. I paused before entering this great day because guess what? I had so much to accomplish. I had to take time to pray. You want to have a great year, Senator, and I love and appreciate every one of you. Matters not to me if you're Democratic, Republican. I love and appreciate every one of you closely. You want to have a great year. Let's settle the past. Let it go. You get my age. I said to Barbara the other day, I said, Barbara, will you love me when I'm old and gray? She said, I do. You get my age, you realize, let it go. The war's over. Let it go. Settle the past. Start praying. And it's amazing what God will do in our lives. Can we stand for prayer? Our most kind, gracious Heavenly Father, you know how I love Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and Jan and their family. They mean much to me. And I pray, God, your blessing upon Brother Burt as he leads this body. But I not only pray for him, I pray for every member. See, we refer to them as politicians, but in Romans chapter 13, you never called them politicians. You called them ministers. You called them servants. And that's what they are. They're servants. And I thank you, God, for how they serve our state. I thank you for every member of this body because they sacrifice. They sacrifice times away from their family. They sacrifice personal things that they would like to do simply to serve our wonderful state. So I pray your blessing upon every member of this body and upon their families. Would you bless them and keep them? Would you make your face to shine upon them? Would you lift your countenance upon them? And may they experience your peace. For I pray this prayer, respecting every faith, but I pray this prayer in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Folks, I want to do one other thing. I want to ask the Lieutenant Governor and his wife Jan to come at this time. I have something here, Lieutenant Governor. This is a Rock Springs Bible, and it's personalized to Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Jan, I greatly appreciate you. From the bottom of my heart, I greatly appreciate you and the sacrifice that you give. The sacrifice, because he can't do what he does without your support. It's that simple. He can't. George Washington, getting back to our first one, he said we can't govern without God and the Bible. We can't govern. And if George Washington can't govern without God and the Bible, neither can we here in the state of Georgia. I love you, Bert. You know I do, bud. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I do. You're amazing. You're amazing.
took you out of the script. You can go. Be gone. Be gone.
Hey, Josh. It is now my pleasure. We always, those who don't know, not familiar, we always like to, after our pastor of the day, we always like to introduce our doctor of the day. And we appreciate these physicians who come from all over the state to join us and donate their time to this legislative body. We greatly appreciate them and the time that they put in here at the Capitol. With doing that, I'd like to call on the senator from the 14th to introduce our doctor of the day. Senator?
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Jones. It is such an honor to be able to introduce the first doctor of the session from Senate District 14, the undisputed medical capital of Georgia. My honor to reintroduce to you Dr. Letitia Bilbrew. She is a board-certified, fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon specializing in surgery of the hand and upper extremity, shoulder and elbow surgery, wrist arthroscopy, and peripheral nerve surgery in patients of all ages. She has an inspiring story. She was born in Birmingham, England. Her grandparents were farmers in Jamaica. They migrated to England shortly after World War II. In '95, she migrated to the United States with her family to begin her journey to becoming a doctor. Folks, she is still, I told you this before, she's still only one of less than 5 African-American female surgeons operating in the state of Georgia. So it's a distinct privilege and honor for me to reintroduce to you Dr. Bilbrew, who will be taking care of you today.
That was such a wonderful introduction. Like he said, my name is Dr. Letitia Bilbrew, and I'm representing the Medical Association of Georgia. It was about 20 years ago that I decided to come to Georgia, where I started at Morehouse School of Medicine. And during my time there, I met a wonderful doctor who you may know as Senator Kirkpatrick, who influenced me to enter the field of orthopedic surgery, representing less than 1% being women. So thank you for the opportunity to represent my patients and your constituents. Please remember, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, so if something other than a broken bone is causing you any problems, I will call 911. But thank you for the opportunity. It truly is an honor. Thank you.
All right. It is time for the moment of swearing in. At this time, I would ask that the Secretary read the communications from the Secretary of State.
I, Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of the State of Georgia, do hereby certify that the attached summary pages constitute a true and correct list of State Senate in the Georgia Assembly elected at the 2024 general election held on November 5th, 2024. All the same shall appear on file and record of this office. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of my office at the Capitol in the city of Atlanta, this 22nd day of November in the year of our Lord 2024, and the independence of the United States of America, the 249th. District 1, Ben Watson. District 2, Derek Mallow. District 3, Mike Hodges. District 4, Billy Hickman. District 5, Sheikh Rahman. District 6, Matt Brass. District 7, Nabla Islam Parks. District 8, Russ Goodman. District 9, Nikki Merritt. District 10, Emmanuel D. Jones. District 11, Sam Watson. District 12, Freddie Powell Sims. District 13, Cardin H. Summers. District 14, Josh McLaurin. District 15, Ed Harbison. District 16, Marty Harbin. District 17, Gail Davenport. District 18, John F. Kennedy. District 19, Blake Tillery. District 20, Larry Walker. District 21, Brandon Beach. District 22, Harold V. Jones II. District 23, Max Burns. District 24, Lee Anderson. District 25, Ricky Rick Williams. District 26, David E. Lucas Sr. District 27, Greg Dolezal. District 28, Donzella James. District 29, Randy Robertson. District 30, Timothy J. Bearden. District 31, Jason Anavatarte. District 32, Kay Kirkpatrick. District 33, Michael Doc Rett. District 34, Kenya Wicks. District 35, Jason Estevez. District 36, Nan Orok. District 37, Ed Setzler. District 38, Rashawn Kemp. District 39, Sonia Halpern. District 40, Sally Harrell. District 41, Kim Jackson. District 42, Brian Strickland. District 43, Tanya P. Anderson. District 44, Alina Parent. District 45, Clint Dixon. District 46, Bill Cousert. District 47, Frank Ginn. District 48, Sean Still. District 49, Drew Eccles. District 50, Bo Hatchett. District 51, Steve Gooch. District 52, Chuck Hefstetler. District 53, Colton Moore. District 54, Chuck Payne. District 55, Randall Mangum. District 56, John Albers. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Thank you, Secretary. It is a big day for everyone here, particularly our new members, and I want to congratulate each and every one of y'all. But before I call on our distinguished judge of the Court of Appeals to come do the actual swearing in, I wanted to recognize somebody who's pretty special. He's actually going to be making history today. And I got to meet this gentleman 13 years ago myself. Jan and I were sitting right where you all are sitting now, and I got to meet a young man from Macon, Georgia, who was going to be my seatmate, and he'll be celebrating his 50th legislative session today, Mr. David Lucas. Senator, why don't you make your way up here, let you say a few words, because you got a few people from Bibb County up here. Why I can tell a story on you here. I got to sit beside him for 10 years in this body, and I will tell you, he was somebody that, come on up here, Senator. Come on up here to the top here. Come on up here, Senator. I knew within the first week of being beside Senator Lucas, I didn't care about party affiliation. I was like, this man knows what he's talking about, because he understands the inner workings of this Capitol probably better than anybody I've ever met since being here. He served many years in the House of Representatives. He served over, I guess, in your 13th year now in the Senate. He actually is a person that he's got a soft place in my heart because he actually served my father, and now I've gotten to serve with him as well. And I will tell you that he's coined the phrase around here, and y'all all know in this body what I'm talking about. He said, Bert, doesn't matter what we do down here, always remember, it always is about the money. He says, always about the money. And he's right. And he was right then, he's right now. But he's somebody that he's been a good friend. He's been somebody that I can go to as a mentor. And this is what I like about Lucas more than anything else. It's when he tells you something, he sticks to it. And that's a currency. A man's word is a currency you can't put a value on it around this building in particular. And for you new members, that is something that you should take to heart, because when you tell somebody something in these chambers, you better do your darndest to stick to it, because your word is your bond. And people can't trust you in this building. Trust me. You will not be a very effective legislator. So, Senator Lucas, why don't you spread some wisdom on us here?
Well, well, well. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had a run. I can tell you about some things that are hidden in some closets. I can tell you about some folks who you can't trust. Tell you one thing, the next thing you know, they go the other way. Look, it's been my pleasure. I got educated up here. It's been my pleasure to serve. Never thought I'd be here this long. I thought I'd been out with the Indians in Tonto. Bert, Dad, and we rabbit hunted together. So we always had fun, listen to the dogs yell and yap and hope the rabbit run by you so you can shoot him. But this is the place where you get real lessons about Georgia, what Georgia is about, what it means for us to do the best that we can for our Georgia citizens. Lieutenant Governor, I do not wish to have your hand this year, because we got to see my farmers. They lost the crop. They had to start all over. And if you're in the pine tree business, it takes 15, 20 years before you can recoup your money. So while we got this budget surplus, we need to see about the citizens and make sure that we keep our economic base, which is agriculture, going in the state of Georgia. With that, Governor, I appreciate it. It's been a good 50 years. Hope I can do another.
Good job. Judge, that's going to be a hard act to follow now. I'm just going to tell you. It is my honor to have a special guest, good friend of mine from way back. Judge Trent Brown and I have known each other for 20 plus years now. It's hard to believe. We got introduced when I had to hire him down in Edenton, Georgia, on a property dispute down there. So I got to find out what a good lawyer he was early on, and he's been an even better judge. He went to state court. He became a Superior Court judge, and then later was appointed to the Appellate Court of Appeals. And it's our honor today to have him do the honors of swearing in all our new members and current members. Judge, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. As if it wasn't bad enough that I got to follow the pastor, now I got to follow Senator Lucas. Sir, congratulations on 50 years. Give him another round of applause, please. First, let me thank you for the invitation and the honor to be here with you. I share your hope and excitement for this session. To the newly elected as well as the re-elected senators, congratulations and much appreciation for your willingness to serve the great state of Georgia. I want to also thank the spouses, the family, and the friends of the senators for their obvious sacrifices of time away and added responsibilities in your senator's absence. Finally, and I don't think this gets said enough, I want to thank the colleagues and the co-workers at your actual jobs who lie when they say that they're absolutely fine with picking up your slack while you spend your time here in Atlanta, Georgia. Listen, I truly understand and appreciate each of your roles as public servants. Economic powerhouses like the state of Georgia simply could not reach the heights where we are without each of you, your experiences, and your work ethics. To credit you with only 40 days of work is a layperson's mistake. Your obligations to the roles you represent today are year-round, with your nearest legislative duties, constant constituent services, and the obvious desire of re-election. And much of this is only intensified by those willing to pursue leadership roles. Now, some of you probably thinking that I may be blowing smoke through these chambers this morning, and well, let me tell you something. You're absolutely correct. But I can certainly be biased and sincere at the same time. I've had the opportunity to serve with remarkable judges and brilliant staff members within the judiciary, and my wife, who along with putting up with me for 19 years, has accomplished 21 years as an elementary school teacher. She's here with me today. So y'all please look out for the teachers in the judiciary. Sincerely, as a husband, father, and citizen of this beautiful state, my family and I thank you for your willingness to serve Georgia and Georgians. Let's get y'all sworn in. All right, if everybody's lined up, y'all gonna have to let me know. All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do hereby solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of this state and the United States, and on all questions and measures which may come before me, I will so conduct myself as will, in my judgment, be most conducive to the interests and prosperity of this state. I further swear or affirm that I am not the holder of any unaccounted for public money due this state or due any political subdivision or authority thereof. That I am not the holder of any office of trust under the government of the United States, of any other state, or any foreign state, which by law I am prohibited from holding. That I have been a resident of my district for a time required by the Constitution and by the laws of this state, that I am otherwise qualified to hold said office according to the Constitution and the laws of the state of Georgia. So help me God. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge Brown. Just so everyone will know, Judge Brown and his lovely wife Jill have they're going to make themselves available after we're done with our official business in here for everybody to get pictures and everything else, and we greatly appreciate Miss Jill and Judge Trent Brown for being here with us today. And I can tell you right now, I brought my wife up here with me, Jan. For our new members, I can tell you, doing this 13 years ago now, this year, that person that was right beside you during the swearing in, that's your number one priority. And always remember that because you cannot do this role without supporting spouse, and I've had a great one here in Jan Jones, so I just want to thank her for that. So all right, now I got to kick all y'all out. No, I'm kidding. All unauthorized personnel. We gotta do official business right now, and so if all the unauthorized personnel could just step out for a little bit. We'll finish all our regular business in here, and then we can get pictures and everything else done. So thank y'all for all being here, too. We will now need to proceed to the seating of the senators. So if we could bring the chamber back to order, and if our members could get back to your designated spots, that would be greatly appreciated. We will now proceed to the seating of the senators. Is there objection to the seating of the any senator? Chair hears none, and all senators are seated. It is now time to call the roll of all senators. We will now call the roll of all senators. Are there any motions to excuse? No motions to excuse. Without objection. Senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, y'all, and welcome back. I have nobody to report as being absent.
All right, Senator. Is there any other motions to excuse? Hearing none, is there objection? Excuse me. Secretary will unlock the machine. We have 55 senators present, so a quorum is established. All right, if I could have everyone's attention. This is all things we just got to get accomplished. I know everybody's excited and wanting to get out with their families and friends and everybody, but just get through these few little housekeeping issues and we'll be done for the day. If you will place your attention to your desk, you have on your desk a copy of your oath of office. Please sign the oath and return it to the Secretary of Senate. Once he has received your signed oath, you receive your official commission from the Secretary of State. Upon adjourning today, the Secretary will have staff just outside the center doors to assist you and return all your signed oath. And you'll have time to pick up your official commission of that oath later today. The next order of business will be the election of our President Pro Tem. I recognize the senator from the 51st, the distinguished majority leader, for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, can you hear me? Mr. President, I nominate the senator from the 18th, John Kennedy, for President Pro Tem.
The senator has moved that recognize the senator from the 18th. Majority leader has nominated the senator from the 18th, President Pro Tem. Is there a second? Recognize the senator from the 22nd.
Mr. President, I second the nomination of the senator from the 18th, John Kennedy, for President Pro Tem.
All right. Senator from the 22nd has seconded the motion from the majority. The minority leader has seconded the motion from the Majority Leader. Is there objection? Without objection, are there any other nominations? Without any other nominations, I recognize Senator from the 51st.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent that the nominations be closed and that the Secretary of the Senate be instructed to cast the vote for the entire body for Senator John Kennedy of the 18th for President Pro Tem.
Senators asked for unanimous consent. Senator, would you like to speak on behalf of your nomination? Is there objection? Without objection, Senator, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, good morning. It's great to be back. Day one, we've got a great year ahead of us, and we are going to forget the past. We're going to look forward for a bright future for Georgia. It's my honor today to stand before you and offer the nomination of our new President Pro Tem, John Kennedy, who is no stranger to this chamber. Senator John Kennedy was first elected to the state Senate back in 2014 to serve the District 18, which includes Crawford, Monroe, Peach, and Upson counties, as well as portions of Bibb and Houston counties. After serving as Governor Dill's floor leader in the Senate during his freshman term, his Republican colleagues elected Senator Kennedy to serve as the caucus chairman for the Senate majority until 2022, when he became the pro tem of this chamber. Senator Kennedy earned a degree in economics from Mercer University in 1987. He completed his law degree at Mercer University School of Law in 1990. Senator Kennedy is a partner at the Macon-based law firm of James Bates Brannon Groover, LLP, and he practices in the area of civil litigation, trial work, business advice, and fiduciary law. Senator Kennedy currently serves on the executive board of the directors for the Central Georgia Council and Boy Scouts of America. Senator Kennedy previously served as the president of the Macon Bar Association and as a member of the Board of Governors for the State Bar of Georgia. His wife, Susan, is with us today. They have two children, Catherine and Will. The Kennedys reside in Bolingbroke, which is in Monroe County, and they are active members of the Ingleside Baptist Church there in his hometown. Senators, I hope you'll join me in a unanimous vote for the Senate Pro Tem this year. Senator Kennedy has led this chamber for the last 2 years with dignity and honor and integrity, and I know he'll continue to do so for the next 2 years. So it's an honor for me to make this nomination, and I hope you'll join me in that unanimous vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Majority Leader has moved. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The nominations are closed. All ballots are cast, and I hereby declare the senator from the 18th duly elected President Pro Tem of this distinguished body. At this time, I'd like to ask the following senators to escort our recently elected Pro Tem into the chamber. The Dean of the Senate, Senator from the 15th, the Majority Leader, Senator from the 51st, and the Minority Leader, Senator from the 22nd. If y'all would proceed to the back to escort our newly elected
Mr. President, the Honorable John F. Kennedy, Senator from the 18th District and newly elected President Pro Tem of Georgia Senate, awaits entrance to the chamber.
Mr. Sergeant at Arms, please allow the distinguished senator from the 18th entrance into the chamber. The Committee of Escort will escort the President Pro Tem to the rostrum. I bring. It is my honor to introduce our recently elected President Pro Tem. Senator Kennedy is someone who has been a leader since he stepped into this chamber. He was a floor leader upon winning his first election, and he was quickly selected as a chair of the caucus, the majority caucus, after he served at his time as floor leader, and has ascended to the pro tem position. Senator Kennedy is somebody who I consider a dear friend. He and Susan are really our neighbors down there in Macon, Georgia, and he has a passion to serve. He has served his constituents well. He serves the great state of Georgia well. He is well liked amongst his colleagues. Obviously, they keep electing him to a leadership role, and he does an outstanding job. John is always present, always very organized, and he's somebody who is a level-headed person that you can always go to for advice, for guidance, and he's someone that I appreciate having the ability to meet with every morning before we start our day here at the legislative chambers. So let's give a warm welcome to our newly elected President Pro Tem, John F. Kennedy.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that kind welcome. Lieutenant Governor Jones, thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate that very much. Mr. President, senators and colleagues, distinguished guests, Mr. Secretary, great to see you. Judge Brown, if he is still with us, thank you for you being with us. And most importantly, the family that are here that support us, as Brother Benny Tate talked about this morning, that we could not do what we do without the help of our family and support of our family. Speaking of which, today with me is my wife Susan, that many of you know, who allows me to come do this job and supports me and is such an encourager, and I appreciate her very much. And then two very important family members for me. My first cousin, Ginger Bridges, and her husband Lawrence are with us. They live in Habersham County, where my father and her father, who were brothers, hail from. And they're with me today, and I'm very grateful, as is Teresa Crawford from my law firm, who keeps things running down there when I'm up here trying to do what we do when we're all together. It has been the absolute honor of my life not only to serve the constituents of Middle Georgia in the Senate, but also the members of this esteemed body as the President Pro Tem for the past 2 years. I want to welcome back so many dear friends that we have and longtime public servants. And whether or not you are new to this, one of the 4 new senators that are joining this chamber, or you happen to be somebody who maybe has served 50 years in the legislature, like Senator Lucas, the senator from the 26th, regardless, thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do to serve this state, and thank you for allowing me to work with you. You know, over the past biennium, we've accomplished a lot for the people of Georgia, and I think for and through the Senate. And over the past 2 years, we have come together to tackle big issues and deliver on our commitment that we all made to serve our constituents. Today, we have worked hard to improve the operations of this chamber. I want to thank my staff, Charlie Barrett, and the many others that serve in our office and serve you, and I hope that you are pleased with the service that they're giving, because as I told them from day one, they may be responsible to me, but they really work for and serve every one of you in this chamber. Together, we worked hard, and we've increased our staff performance. We've enabled our senators to broaden their voice and advocate for your districts, regardless of whatever those issues may be. And I'm very proud of the work that we have all done together and that we have already accomplished. And looking around the room, I know that the future of this chamber is extremely, extremely bright. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Jones for his leadership. He came in, as we all know, 2 years ago to be our Lieutenant Governor, and has been just a wonderful Lieutenant Governor and President of this chamber to work with, regardless of the issue, regardless of the challenge, regardless of the party, regardless of what part of the state we came from or come from to him. He is generous with his time and always listens. And I appreciate him. And Jan, thank you. As I said in my remarks 2 years ago, it is absolutely a family venture for them, and they absolutely proved that. I want to thank our Governor Kemp as well as he begins. It struck me when I was driving up here yesterday that tomorrow, referring to today, would be the last biennium that he would start here at the Capitol after his many years of service, also as governor and as Secretary of State. So I thank our governor, and I also thank Speaker Burns across the hall. One of the objectives that we had going into this administration and our office, and collectively so many of you, was to better the relations that we had with the House and have a good working relationship with them. And I think we have that. And that's a tribute to so many of you, as well as, let's call it what it is, Speaker Burns and his leadership style and what he has done as well. You know, looking forward to these 2 years that we are coming up to serve, I heard a quote that really resonated with me, and I wanted to share it with you as I was preparing for thinking of what we would do this session. And it goes like this: the judicial branch really deals with and examines the past. The executive branch deals with and implements and enforces the laws of today. But the legislature, the legislative branch, prepares for tomorrow. That really is what we're doing. We're passing laws that affect us, our family, our constituents in this state for tomorrow. And I want to encourage all of you to remember that until midnight sine die. It is not my tomorrow and it is not your tomorrow that we are down here working for. It's their tomorrow. It is your constituents and my constituents that we're down here working on for their tomorrow. Yes, that's why we're here. Distractions will come. Emotions will run high on important issues, whether it's emotionally charged issues or thoughts of future campaigns or whatever the distraction may be. I would encourage us to keep our focus on why we are here. We are here about the tomorrow for all the people that came and elected us to serve down here. So, those people in Georgia are counting on us to do our job, and I'm ready to work with each one of you to help you deliver a better tomorrow for the people of Georgia. And with that, I thank you.
Next order of business is to elect our Secretary of the Senate. This is a young man that's going to be filling the shoes of a pretty remarkable fellow in David Cook, but we have a lot of confidence in James Tripp, and I think he's going to do this body a wonderful job. So I recognize the senator from the 51st for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my honor today to nominate Mr. James Tripp to serve as Secretary of the Senate.
Majority Leader has nominated Mr. Tripp to the office of Secretary of the Senate. Is there a second? Recognize the senator from the 22nd.
Mr. President, I second the nomination of Mr. James Tripp for Secretary of the Senate.
There is a second from the senator from the 22nd. Mr. Tripp is nominated. Does Majority Leader wish to speak on behalf of the nomination?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it's my honor to nominate Secretary Tripp today. He's been working in this chamber for many years. He's a native of Fayette County. Jack began his service to the Senate on the Secretary's crew of session assistants back in 2015. working as a session assistant and the reading clerk. He most recently served as the deputy secretary from 2022 to 2024 and was responsible for scheduling Senate meetings, managing human resources and payroll in the secretary's office, and the processing of amendments, motions, and special orders on the Senate floor. Jack previously served as a Senate status clerk from 2017 through 2022, where he was responsible for operating and maintaining the Senate's voting machines, managing the placement of legislation in senators' books, and was responsible for hiring and managing the crew of session assistants. He is a graduate of Young Harris College and serves on its alumni board. When not at the Capitol, Jack enjoys traveling and is a lover of baseball, political history, and all things old. And he and his wife live here in Atlanta. Mr. President, I'm honored to offer this nomination, and I encourage our Senate colleagues to give a unanimous vote of support for Mr. Jack Tripp for Secretary of the Senate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Senator from 22nd, Minority Leader, would you like to speak on the nomination? Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. As stated, I also second the nomination. Just want to say that Mr. Tripp has been a great addition to our community here, and he's going to be great for our body. Quite a big responsibility for a young man, but he can handle it, and I hope this body does this unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leader. Majority Leader has moved that the nomination be closed and the Deputy Secretary cast a unanimous vote of the Senate for James Tripp. Is there any objection? Chair hears none. Nomination is closed. All ballots are cast, and I hereby declare Mr. James Tripp duly elected as Secretary of the Senate. Mr. Sergeant at Arms.
The Honorable James Tripp, newly elected Secretary of the Georgia Senate, awaits entrance to the chamber.
Mr. Sergeant at Arms, please allow the Honorable James Tripp, Secretary of the Senate, entrance to the chamber and escort him to the rostrum. Mr. Secretary, are you prepared to take the oath of office? Will repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will discharge my duties faithfully and to the best of my skill and knowledge.
I will discharge my duties faithfully and to the best of my skill and knowledge.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Members of the Senate, let's congratulate the new Secretary of the Senate, Mr. James Tripp. James, come on up. Yeah, you do right here. You do right here.
Thank you all very much for this incredible honor to serve as your secretary. This august body holds a special place in my heart, and being able to serve it is just a truly incredible thing. I'll give you my best to make this the best Senate we can, and if we can ever be of any assistance to you in the office of the secretary, please let me know. My door is always open. Thank you.
Congratulations. If the members will oblige me, I'm going to let the new secretary stand down here, and then maybe y'all can come and congratulate him like we do our pastors of the day here, because he's going to need it. He's got some big shoes to fill here. So thank you. Hop on down there real quick. Chuck. All right, we're getting there. Next order of business will be the election of the Sergeant at Arms. I recognize the Majority Whip, Senator from the 29th.
Mr. President, I nominate the Honorable Robert Brown for Sergeant at Arms.
The Senator Majority Whip has nominated Mr. Robert Brown to continue as our Sergeant at Arms. Recognize the Senator from the 41st for a second of that motion.
Mr. President, I second the nomination of the Honorable Robert Brown for Sergeant of Arms.
We have a second from the distinguished lady from the 41st. Senator from the 29th, would you like to speak to your nomination?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I stand before you today to advance the nomination of Robert Bob Brown for the position of Sergeant at Arms. Those of us who have been here all know the hard work that Bob does. First as a doorkeeper, and then in the last 2 sessions as our Sergeant at Arms. We've seen how he keeps order in this chamber, which have no doubt is the most important chamber in this building. Now, Bob Brown wasn't born in Georgia, but he did get here as quick as he could. He was born in Tennessee, and once he was old enough, he volunteered for the armed services and went and fought bravely in Vietnam, receiving the Bronze Star. As soon as he got home, Bob came to Georgia in 1968 to work for General Motors, first at the Lakewood plant on Sawtell Avenue, which is real close to the state capitol, and then he moved to the Dorville plant, and after 36 and a half years, retired. He first came to the Georgia Senate as a doorkeeper in 2017, working under then Sergeant at Arms John Long, and has been here ever since. Colleagues, I humbly request your support for Mr. Robert Brown for Sergeant at Arms for the Georgia State Senate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. With all nominations closed, recognize the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that nominations be closed and that the Secretary be instructed to cast the vote of the entire body for the Honorable Robert Brown for Sergeant at Arms of the Georgia Senate.
Majority Leader has moved that nomination be closed, that the Secretary cast the unanimous vote for the Senate for Robert Brown as Sergeant at Arms. Is there objection? Chair hears none. Nominations are closed. All ballots have been cast, and I hereby declare Mr. Robert Brown duly elected Sergeant at Arms. Mr. Robert Brown, Mr. Storekeeper.
Mr. President, the Honorable Robert Brown, newly elected Sergeant at Arms in the Georgia Senate, awaits entry into this chamber.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. Brown, we appreciate your service. We appreciate your dedicated service, and we are honored to have you for another 2 years. So, and want you to continue to do it as long as you'll continue to put up with us here, sir. So we appreciate it. Let's give Mr. Robert Brown a round of applause again, and thank you for his service. All right, on to next order of business. Pertaining to SR1. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Resolution 1, submitted by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others, a resolution to notify the House of Representatives that the Senate has convened and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. Secretary will read Resolution SR2.
Senate Resolution 2, a resolution submitted by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others, a resolution to notify the governor that the General Assembly has convened and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. At this time, I will appoint the following senators to the Committee of Notification to join with a similar committee from the House for the purpose of notifying the governor that the General Assembly has convened. Recognize the majority senator from the 18th, the senator from the 15th, the senator from the 51st, the senator from the 22nd. I would ask that the members of the committee meet at the Secretary of the Senate at the rostrum at the conclusion of today's session. Recognize the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that SR2 and all resolutions adopted today which require transmittal be immediately transmitted to the House of Representatives.
Majority leader has moved that SR2 and all resolutions adopted today which require transmittal be immediately transmitted to the House of Representatives. Is there objection? Without objection. Secretary, read the resolution, SR3.
Senate Resolution 3, respectfully submitted by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others, a resolution adopting the rules of the Senate and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that Senate Resolution 3 be engrossed at this time.
Majority leader has asked that Senate Resolution 3 be engrossed. Is there objection? Without objection, SR. There is objection. I'm sorry. There is objection. Senator from 51st, would you like to speak to the measure? You waive. Senator from the 41st, would you like to speak to the measure? All right. There is objection. All those in favor of the majority leader's motion will signify by voting the yay switch. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 32, the nays are 24. and this motion has prevailed. Questions on the adopted resolution? I ask that the pro tem senator from the 18th speak to the engrossment.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning again, colleagues, and thank you again for honoring me to let you serve in capacity of the pro tem. Senate Resolution 3 is just some updates to our Senate rules. They are largely housekeeping measures. One deals with interim special committees that we tightened up the rules in which the days are allocated for that, so that whereas before there was not really any guidance on that. You'll find also a change that I think is going to be welcome. The bills that are going to be placed on the desk, Rule 4-2.10, you'll find that the notebooks on our desk going forward, the bills will be in numerical order instead of the order that they're in on the rules calendar for that day. You'll also see just some basic cleanup. A couple of these are just correcting some misspellings and sort of modernizing our rules a little bit. I want to thank the minority leader for his assistance. I presented these rules to him last week, and you will note that he is in fact the third signer on these proposed rule changes. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but it sure would be nice to kick the year off and get a good unanimous vote on these rules that we're going to operate under for the next 2 years. Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions, or I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of SR 3, the rules of the Senate. All those in favor vote yea. All those opposed nay. Secretary unlock the machine. Senator from the 26th. On the adoption resolution, the yeas are 55 and the nays are 1. This resolution has been adopted. Secretary, read the captions for SR 4.
Senate Resolution 4, respectfully submitted by Senator Kennedy of the 18th and others, a resolution relative to officials, employees, and committees in the Senate and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I ask for unanimous consent that Senate Resolution number 4 be engrossed at this time.
The majority leader has moved that Senate Resolution 4 be engrossed. Is there objection? We have objection. We have objections from the minority whip, senator from the 41st. Majority leader, would you like to speak to your motion? You waive. Senator, would you like to speak? They both waive. All those in favor of the motion to engross SR 4 will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 32, the nays are 24, and the motion has prevailed. I recognize the pro tem to speak to the measurement.
Thank you, Mr. President. So Senate Resolution 4 is very simply, this is our housekeeping resolution we pass every year at the beginning of each biennium. This basically allows our employees to get paid. And if you'll look at it, that's really all it does, and provides that we conduct the business that we do, and the clerks and the other folks that work for us on the Senate side are compensated. Happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions, sir.
Yield the will. Thank you.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hearing none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none, and the previous question is ordered. All those in favor of the motion on the resolution SR4 will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adoption of resolution, the yeas are 56 and nays are 0, and this resolution has been adopted. Secretary, read the caption for SR 5.
Senate Resolution 5, respectfully submitted by Senator Dolezal, the 27th, and others, a resolution reauthorizing the Senate Special Committee on Investigations to provide for the issuance of compulsory process to secure the attendance of witnesses or the production of documents and materials and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the Majority Leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent that Senate Resolution number 5 be engrossed at this time.
Majority Leader has moved for unanimous consent for Resolution SR 5 to be engrossed. Is there objection? We have objection from Senator from the 41st. Senator from the 51st, would you like to speak to your motion? Or they both waive. All those in favor of the motion to engross will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to engross, the yeas are 33, the nays are 23, and this motion has prevailed. Now recognize the senator from the 27th to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues, and welcome everyone back. This resolution reconstitutes the Senate Special Committee on Investigations that was created last year by Senate Resolution 465. The senator from the 46th has done an excellent job chairing that committee, leading a number of meetings that have uncovered a set of facts that require us to continue our work in that committee. It's not only the work of that committee that requires us to continue, but it has been the actions of the district attorney to fight our lawfully submitted subpoena. And as you have probably heard, in December, Judge Ingram ruled that we were indeed correct, and we do have the power under the Georgia Constitution to subpoena her for this work. The core of the work, as the Senator from the 46th, our chairman, consistently reminds us, is on lines 99 to 102. And we are focused on the potential enactment of new laws on a statewide application or a change in appropriations. And in order to do that, we need to continue the work of this, and that is what this resolution does. Mr. President, I'm happy to answer any questions, or I will yield the well if there are not any.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Senator from the 14th, you'd like to speak to the measure?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's good to be back. It's good to see everybody. This was supposed to be our fully kumbaya day with family members in the gallery and easy unanimous votes. Sorry about the rules vote. But here we are, reauthorizing a special committee that is politically motivated as our last order of business that's going to keep me from driving my loved one home when I promised I would. There is a good reason to relax into a new term, to have fresh eyes, to follow the chaplain's advice, and to see every day as a new beginning. There are good reasons to do that. There are good reasons to resolve the past, settle it, and be done in our hearts and our own minds so that we can be fresh and ready to take on new challenges and not dwell in old things that have happened. That has been the refrain of this morning so far, and I largely agree with that refrain. This is a fixation on the past. But worse than that, it is a fixation on the past that is driven primarily by the obsessions of one man who is going to be president in a week. We have now spent years in this chamber catering to, bending to, accommodating the narcissistic preferences of one man. I wasn't going to speak today at all. I was going to enjoy lunch. But here we are, bending again. I'll go on record saying I think that case was overcharged. I'm a Democrat. I'm saying I think that case was overcharged. I'm a Democrat saying there were a lot of problems, acknowledged problems, with what happened in that prosecution. And I wish it hadn't gone that way. But the substance of this committee has to be understood in the context of why this committee is being reauthorized. And my sincere hope and my challenge for this body as we move forward, are we going to be a nation of laws or a nation of men, of individual people, of their personalities and eccentricities? The whole point of this committee, as acknowledged by the sponsor, is that we're looking at one district attorney's actions to determine if there should be changes in statewide laws and their application, changes in statewide appropriations. And the risk in this Trump era is that we are going to become a people and an elected body that trend ever so slightly, day after day, in the direction of making laws and appropriations because of individual people and their whims, as opposed to laws of general application that come from a desire to protect the entire public. Go ask Elon Musk. Go ask the billionaires, Jeff Bezos, who are on record saying critical things of Trump or his administration, but now are pouring money into his inauguration coffers. Ask the billionaire owners of the newspapers who use slogans like "democracy dies in darkness." but now themselves are turning off the light switch on their own editorial cartoonists, on their negative coverage. There's a danger that comes with a quiet, acquiescent, peaceful mentality about current affairs, and that is that the guys who want you to forget that they came into power by making it all about them are going to continue to do that. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Senator is yielded. Senator from 22nd, just like to speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. When I was getting sworn in today, I noticed that the Bible I had was one almost to the day of my 10th year anniversary of coming to this body. I was actually on that committee, and quite frankly, in my 10 years, I never had more of a waste of time being on that particular committee. In fact, after the second meeting, even the media stopped even showing up because they realized it had nothing to do with the state Senate, had nothing to do with General Assembly. Taught us about procurement for Fulton County, if you wanted to know about that, which found out that actually their procurement process isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good. We learned about what other prosecutors do as far as appointing special prosecutors, but we learned nothing about anything that really impacted the lives of Georgians. And I've had great conversations recently about dealing with education and healthcare and childcare with folks from the opposite side, but this isn't it. This has nothing to do with any of those issues. And it is not really our purview at all. And I'll just say this, the shameful part of all of this, we spent more time in that committee room dealing with Fulton County prosecution issues and procurement issues than we did on when we were talking about expanding Medicaid. We spent more time worrying about how Fulton County does procurement than how to get 500,000 people health care in this state. And that is shameful. With that, I yield the well.
Senator is yielded. Senator from the 2nd, would you like to speak? You wave. Senator from 26, would you like to speak?
Here we go again, y'all. History is going to write about this. History, what we did. History tells us a man did something in the back of a dressing room. Judge found him guilty. He married. But if you read the history of the new president coming in, that wasn't the first time he did it. He did it 2 or 3 other times while he was married. History says that the man broke the law. If you and I broke the law, we'd be under the jail. But he got money. When you watch Elon Musk jump on the stage like some young kid at the playground, because he got money. Because he got money. You know, I wish I had some of that kind of money myself. I'd do some jumping too. But history is going to write about what we did. We know he called the Secretary of State and told him to find some votes. We know he did that. Well, the Secretary of State had good sense. He recorded the conversation to make sure that he couldn't lie on him. But then we get down to bedroom politics. Bedroom politics. If you're single and you like somebody, that's fine. But we get down to bedroom politics. we didn't have a special committee when one of us did something, took a girlfriend to the committee meeting and paid for it and everything. We ain't have no investigation. It printed in the paper. Big as day. He left. And then the next thing I know, y'all appointed him to an authority or something dealing with the state. You can't do wrong. Even if you got money. Even if you got money. You can't do wrong and think it's going to be all right. Back during the day, my grandmama used to talk about folks who didn't look like me. Said, boy, let me tell you something. If you're brown, stick around. If you black, get back. And if you white, you all right. Something is wrong with that. We've all come up in an era. Different things happen. I came up in the 60s. Protesting, marching, to change what was going on in the world that I was living in. And then opportunity came where I had the opportunity to run for public office, to try to voice in a room with other folks the objections I had with the kinds of things that were going on when I when I was coming up as a kid. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of this mode. The preacher said it. Got to get rid of the past. You got to get rid of it. What we got to do is make sure that we're a sovereign country. We've got to make sure that Russia doesn't take over all of these European countries. We got to make sure that NATO is alive and well. We don't want to fight a war on these grounds. That's why we have all of these alliances. This man was talking on television. He wants the Gulf of Mexico to be the Gulf of America. He want to add Canada as the 51st state. He want to take over the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal if it takes military force. We are better than that. We've gone through this before. We've gone through this before. Pearl Harbor was a good example. Us not getting involved. Staying to ourselves. Isolation. We cannot isolate ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have different views. Our politics are a little bit different. But what we got to do is try to find some common ground. Let's deal with the issues that affect Georgia. As I mentioned today, agriculture is one of them. I'm not a farmer. But I grew up in the country. A lot of my folks drove the trucks to haul the lumber. Ain't no lumber to be hauled. A lot of lumber we get out of Canada. But right now ain't no lumber to be hauled in Georgia because we had several incidents that caused crops after planting were all gone. Pine trees, you normally harvest them 15, 20 years. You pay taxes on them. You allow the folks who are growing them to delay paying taxes on it until they harvest it. Those are the kind of issues we need to deal with because They're having a problem. They're trying to eat. And many of them are not going to be able to eat and get the financial wherewithal that they need to help them recover. So I would say to the chairman of appropriations, you have a great task ahead of you. We got money in the bank, but where did we spend it? Do we allow our agriculture, our tree farmers, pecan farms to go under? Or do we, in this great state, do our due diligence to make sure that our taxpayers are getting their money's worth? So let's cut out the foolishness. Let's get out of bedroom politics. She tried to get somebody to take the case and they wouldn't take it. Well-known lawyer, they wouldn't take it. But what we've got to do is try to cross this aisle and work together on those things that we can to make it better for Georgians. This right here doesn't make it any better. It makes it bitter. It's confrontational. And let me say something to you. If y'all want to fight, you can get a fight. Now, if you want to fight, you can get a fight. And it's going to be confrontational. I'm tired of us doing these kind of things. I thought we were trying to come together. I thought all of us on these athletic teams playing ball, oh, good pat on the back. Shoot the hoop. But here we are when we leave the athletic field and deal in the world of politics and human rights. We seem to have a problem. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to get out of that mode. We've got to prosper. We got to see about these farmers. That's what we need to be arguing and talking about. We need to make sure that they can plant and they can get back into business and feed the families. And then a lot of us will benefit from it. We don't grow pine trees in the city. You can't find a pine tree farm in the city. It's in rural Georgia. But rural Georgia does not have what I call the economic base that you have in large metropolitan areas. Corporations giving money to do things. We in the state have got to pick up this tab. And what we ought to do is be about picking up the tab to try to make sure that Georgia is right. And our folks are going to benefit. Thank you, Mr. Governor.
Thank you, Senator. Recognize Senator from 53rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we order the previous question.
Well, you were the last speaker, Senator. Actually, I apologize for that. Senator from 56. Would you like to speak on? Hold that motion for a second.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's an old debating tactic that when you can't win the argument, you change the subject. We could talk about elections today, but the people of Georgia and America have spoken. We could talk about health care, we could talk about trees and hurricanes, but they have nothing to do with the issue at hand today. I agree with the senator from the 14th. We sure wish that didn't happen. It's been a political circus for way too long. And in the meantime, Senator from the 29th and many of us have been trying to figure out how we get people out of an overcrowded jail when the prosecution seemed all too busy with other things. I also agree with my friend, Senator from the 14th, about moving on. But the people who are still being stuck in the middle of this, they can't move on with their lives and their very basic freedoms right now. This is just, and this is right. This committee is professional. They have followed the law. And isn't it the job of the Georgia Senate to uphold those laws? Make sure people are accountable and we're doing the right thing to set the foundation for the future? Let's not miss the politics through the issue that it's at hand today. This makes perfect sense. Let's finish the work of this very important committee. And as my parents told me when I was a young boy growing up, if you didn't do anything wrong, you certainly have nothing to worry about. I yield the well.
Senators yielded. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none, the question is on the adoption of the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the second, you have your light on.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, is it not true that the Gospel of Mark, the 2nd chapter and the 22nd verse says, and no one puts new wine in old wineskins, otherwise the wine will burst the skins and the wine is lost, and so are the skins, but one puts new wine into fresh wineskins. Is that not true, Mr. President?
It is always good to hear your wisdom, the good senator from the second. On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas are 33, the nays are 23, and the resolution has prevailed. All right, here's our last order of business is on the adjournment resolution. Secretary, please read the caption.
Senate Resolution 6, respectfully submitted by Senator Gooch of the 51st and others, a resolution relative to meetings and adjournments of the General Assembly and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the majority leader. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, colleagues. I don't think we have to engross this resolution. I think everyone will be in full support of it if you read it. There's two important lines in this resolution I would call your attention to. The first one is line 37, which is our crossover day, which is obviously an important day for the senators to get their bills and legislation through this chamber over to the House. The second and most important line that I'll bring to your attention is on line 54. That is our sine die, and that will be on Friday, April the 4th this year. So I want to thank everyone that's been involved in preparing this and negotiating this with the House, the leadership in the Senate, the Lieutenant Governor's office and his staff have been instrumental. My staff, Chief of Staff Ben Gerard, has been working on this for weeks now. I want to also thank the Majority Leader over in the House, Mr. F. Strachan, the Speaker of the House, his staff, as well as all the others that have been involved with this. This budget that we deal with every year really drives the resolution that you're passing today. This resolution is built around the complicated dates and times that it takes to get our budgets through both the House and the Senate chambers. So appropriation chairman from the Senate and the House have also been involved in the creation of this calendar. This will be the third consecutive year that we've had a 40-day calendar, and I hope we'll continue this trend because it helps everyone in the building to know the future, and that's important, knowing what days we're going to be on and off. I'll highlight just a couple of things for your attention. Immediately, we're going to need to have your attention this week in the Senate chamber. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We'll be in session all 5 days. Tomorrow morning, of course, some of us, hopefully
hopefully most of us will be over at the Georgia Chamber Eggs and Issues breakfast. That'll start early in the morning, and it'll usually run through 10 or almost 11 o'clock. So with that being the conflict, we will start our session at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. And as soon as we're in here, we're going to try to expedite our session tomorrow, because at noon we will join the pro tem in his annual tradition of having lunch prepared for us off-site. And I know you don't want to miss our lunch at noon tomorrow. On Thursday, we will be invited to join the House for the State of the State address, where Governor Kemp will lay out his goals and his vision for the state into the future and immediately into this session particularly. And he'll address a lot of his concerns for the budget and all the needs around the state. Next week, Monday is MLK Day. That will be a day off. Then we'll be in committees for the rest of the week, looking at our budgets that the governor will present to us on Tuesday morning. So if you're on the Appropriations Committee in the Senate, then you need to show up for that meeting, and that time will be set by the Appropriations Chairman later in the week. The following week, we'll be back in session for 4 days. We are going to have about 5 Fridays off this year, but we will be working some other Fridays just because of the fact that we have a late start this year. Today being the 13th day of January, that's typically where we start earlier than this, but this year we have a late start, even though it is the second Monday of January. I'll point out a couple other things to you. I've already mentioned crossover day. We are going to bake in some extra work days this year. We think after the last 2 years, we realize when we get close to the end of session, we have a complicated time of trying to get all of our bills heard in committee. The House sends over a large volume of bills from their Ways and Means and from their judiciary committees. And so we do a lot of work the last 2 or 3 weeks of session. So you'll see in March, we're going to cook in some work days on Wednesdays. We will have 4 Wednesdays in March. We'll be committed strongly to committee work days. We want every senator to be here, go to your committees, get your work done, and get ready for what we know will be an exciting last week of March, and Sine Die being on April 4th. Mr. President, I'm happy to present this resolution. I know that everyone's encouraged by the fact that we know what day we're going to be out, April 4th, and I'm happy to take any questions, or I'll yield the will.
There are no questions, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Good job on getting us a day of exit. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hearing none. Is there objections to previous question being ordered? Chair hearing none. Previous question is ordered. All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote the yay switch. All those opposed, the nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adopted resolution, the yeas are 56, the nays are 0, and this resolution is adopted. Let's give our majority leader a round of applause for his hard work that he did there. That is not an easy task, but he and his staff did a wonderful job in making that happen. 3 years in a row, we know when we're getting out of here. That's pretty good, Senator. Good job, good job. All right, we're going to stand at ease for a moment because we're waiting for the House to send over a joint committee resolution. That will be one less thing we'll not have to knock out tomorrow. In the meantime, I have Judge Trent Brown here who's going to come down and is welcome to take pictures, particularly the new members. If y'all would like to get a picture with the judge that has sworn you in, this is your opportunity right now. I do apologize because the House said they were going to be sending us something, and they decided they'd rather do lunch instead. So I recognize the Majority Leader for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 11 a.m. on Tuesday, January 14th.
Majority Leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned. Secretary, read the caption.
Mr. President, there are no announcements.
Recognize the Senator again for another motion.
Withdraw the motion? Mr. President, I withdraw my adjournment motion, please.
During the interim, the Senate has received communications from the Lieutenant Governor, the Speaker of the House, the Supreme Court requesting their appointments to the Judicial Qualification Commission and the Judicial Legal Defense Fund Commission be confirmed by the Senate. Secretary will read the communication.
Mr. President, the Senate has received communications from the Speaker of the House and the Supreme Court of Georgia requesting that the Senate confirm the following appointments to the Judicial Qualification Commission: Mr. James L. Coursey, Jr., the Honorable Brian Rickman. The Senate has also received communications from the Lieutenant Governor and the Supreme Court of Georgia requesting that the Senate confirm the following appointments to the Judicial Legal Defense Fund Commission: Mr. Brad Vaughn and the Honorable Todd Markle. These communications have been placed on each senator's desk. Mr. President, that completes the order.
All right, the Secretary has placed the names of the appointees to the Judicial Qualification Commission and the Judicial Legal Defense Fund Commission on your desk for your review. Pursuant to the Senate Rules 33-1, the appointments are referred to the Committee on Assignments. Without objection, we'll move on. Now I recognize the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 11 a.m. Tuesday, January 14th.
The Senator has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until January 14th, 11 a.m. That's after eggs and issues in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. So all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it. Great day, guys. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.